Okay, this side's a bit busier because we've got more going on. So and potentially much more fun getting the whole brake lever linkage off. Okay, so let's just get that out of the way to start with. Okay, we start with the brake lever linkage, which has a clevis pin. In this case, it's a reusable clevis pin. So a little bit easier to get off, a little spring clip. So there we go. So we are now free on the brake linkage. Now okay, this is where we have a flexible line, so should be able to move everything quite easily. If you have the standard solid line, then I think you probably need to replace it at this point. I'm hoping that I can manipulate everything around with this so that it's not a problem. Okay. So, brake master cylinder. These are all the easy bits, of course. Now we need to get the sprocket cover off, and that's where potentially the fun comes in. Now, so I don't want to put strain on the lever, on the actual hose, so just rest that there, out of the way. I don't really like it being at an angle, so let's, there we go. Okay, so now we just should have this one large bolt at the bottom. Okay, a little more fiddling around were required there. Not forgetting to take the actual bolt out the bottom, and in order to pull this free I have needed to loosen off the exhaust so that I can get to the back of here, which is where the brake lever mounts on. So I might actually need to take the exhaust off. Oh well, that's it off anyway by the looks of things. Just to clear this stud. Yeah. Pretty much. Right, so here we go. So we've got one bolt in here, needs to be removed. That's if I can get a socket in there. That's the right size. Otherwise, I might be changing my sprocket cover sooner than I expected. Okay, and we're back. So, side cover has to come off to remove the brake lever, because the brake lever is, the whole mounting pin is bolted through on these, on these rigid mounts. So that's actually bolted hard to the side cover. Now with the exhaust I've got on, I needed to pull them off in order to free that off. So brake lever is off, and now we should be ready to start putting it all back together. And then we'll have some fun with that, I'm sure. So this assembly will bolt onto here, and only time will tell whether there's actually enough clearance to for the exhaust with this particular setup. So let's find out. It looked like there would, but it's going to be tight, and I'm probably going to have to mount the exhaust back up in order to do it. There we go, that probably makes it look better already. So yeah, it's gonna go, but it's gonna be quite tight. Right, just gonna take all the tape off. Okay, I think we're gonna have some fun with trying to get this on and the exhaust on at the same time. So some experimentation is probably going to be called for. reason I say that is because this has the same mounting system as the original brake lever, which is to say that it mounts through the same which means being able to get behind this to bolt it on, which I can't do with the exhaust in place, and it's a tight fit to get it in and out, so I'll have to remove it. And fit as is. Might be able to get that in there if I need to. Just get that on there. There might be enough room. So we'll see how this works. Okay, so this bolt is not long enough, quite simply. Just catch a couple of threads with the lock washer removed, so I'll need a longer bolt. Okay, but it works, so just quickly tighten these down. Okay. that's as tight as I think that needs to be. Okay, this is all looking good. So aside from this slight technical issue here, maybe there's not enough threads on there for me to be happy to have the lock washer on there. And there's literally enough threads so they're about the length or the width of the lock washer, so I'm not going to go there. As I say, I'll get a longer bolt. Now just grease the threads, otherwise I might consider Loctiting it in place because there's no grease inside the threads, so that's not really going to work very well. So no longer bolt, I think. Okay, so that's bolted. Exhaust now needs to be put back into place. Except that I think I might have a bit of a problem there, because that's a direct clearance issue. That's not going to work with this pipe setup, I don't think. Back end of that is let's just get this seated properly. Exhaust comes right through. Where the nut mounts a footpeg on is. There's just not enough clearance happening there. So, reset failure. By the looks of things, it would have been nice. It was a nice idea. But it's just not going to work. With these pipes. Now these pipes came with the SSR2, Vance & Hines SSR2, so I think these are the standard pipes for it. But we've got this 2-into-1 just here, and this pipe routes through right where that nut is. And there's no way that is, I could maybe force it, but then the nut exhaust system is going to be rattling on the back of that, so that's just not going to work. So back to mids, which is a shame. Okay, so I've reprofiled the pipe a little bit, so there's some clearance. It's introduced a little bit of a dent into the tube, but so maybe I'll get a little bit of power loss in there, but frankly it's not a race bike. I don't think I'm going to notice. So this now is a tight squeeze, but it does fit into here. So it's a tight squeeze and fit, but no, it's decided not to go. Okay, so now it's decided not to go in. I don't think I dented in that far. I guess that's a risk that I might have over curved the pipe so that it doesn't fit anymore. Don't think that's the case, but certainly since that last adjustment it's not appearing to want to go on fully, but maybe that's just my imagination. Yeah. Or maybe not. Maybe I have just dented it in such that now it won't quite go all the way in there. Okay, I'm going to have to do a little bit more playing. Okay, with a little bit of persuasion it was convinced to go in. Now bear in mind these are the Rearset lows that Chainsikle sell, so they probably sit a bit lower than normal, and depends really on your pipe style as to whether or not you're going to get a clearance issue here or not. Clearly they probably aren't an issue for most sets of pipes, and certainly if I'd have gone for something which I am considering like the Spitfire high and lows, or high and tights I should say, high and lows, high and tights, which sit across here, this is of no issue at all. But then again, I'm guessing that the sort of people who are going to go for Rearsets are the sort of people who probably have 2-in-1s on their bikes. But anyway, so that appears to be on there now. Okay, which means that that's a fairly good fit with my slip-on, and that in there, there's a hair of clearance between that and the back. Certainly wiggling it around without everything tightened down, it's not touching, so I think we are just okay on that, so that's good. So we can move on with the installation. Now I say that, I still haven't I need to finish bolting this up, so I'm just going to do that and come back to you. Okay, bike's had its first test run now, with the installation complete. I need to alter the height of the gear lever. It's a little bit high at the moment, but that's pretty much to be expected. It's very hard to put that into place until you've actually ridden, so that's all good. Now on the brake side, all fitted, works very nicely. I would say that the brake line was an issue, and that's why you got a bit of a gap in the filming. This has got a Goodrich kit which is designed especially for the Sportster Sport, but the lines as they are fitted are too short, and just here you can see there's too much bend in that line. You can see it's smack up against the cylinder there, and even then I had to bend it a little to even get that on. So and I had to disconnect it at the brake switch where it's the line is normally fitted onto the frame, so that's currently flopping around loose, and I had to take the brake line off to move it. It was the only way to actually get it to even remotely fit. So really it'll need a new brake line. Not entirely unexpected, but not quite what the instructions might lead you to believe, but I guess it fitted, so I can't complain. Now the exhaust had some fairly extensive modification, and in the final fitting stage is still actually touching. Before I'd finally bolted the exhaust down, there was clearance, a couple of mil, but in finally fitting the exhaust it's gone away, so I guess that probably needs to come off at some point and be beaten in a bit more, so that it doesn't touch. As it stands at the moment, that is touching the exhaust, which isn't a great solution. I also need to change the pegs out. These ones are fairly rotted, the rubber's gone, so new pegs are on order. It wasn't actually obvious from the kit description that it didn't come with pegs. It didn't say it did, it didn't say it didn't, and all the pictures had pegs on them, so you could have assumed that it would have come with pegs. Not a big deal in my point of view, but worth bearing in mind. Other than that, all goes quite well. I like the position. Gives you a little bit more legroom, which is what I wanted. But now it's changed the position of the bike, so I need to consider everything in total. But as I say, new brake lines I will need. I'll have to look into that. Otherwise, looking forward to it, and looking forward to a longer test run on them. Okay, cheers.